welcome back to my channel Medicta Budding Doctor. In today's video we are going to talk about orbit, in which I am providing you notes of these 4 topics: boundaries and bones forming orbit, relations of orbit, contents of orbit, and extraocular muscles. And some other topics which you have to study in this chapter or this topic are fascia bulbi or facial sheath, suspensory and check ligaments of eye, nerves of orbit which include optic nerve, oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, abducens nerve, and ophthalmic nerve. The next topic which you have to study is ciliary ganglion, then ophthalmic artery, ophthalmic veins, lacrimal gland, and finally orbital fat. So let's start the video, and first I am going to explain you about bones forming orbit of eye. So the orbit of eye is formed by a total of 7 bones, and the eye orbit has 4 boundaries, which are the roof, floor, medial wall, and the lateral wall. First we will talk about the roof of the eye, which is formed by orbital plate of frontal bone in the front and the lesser wing of sphenoid behind. So the short form or the mnemonic for roof is FS. 5 in the blue color represents orbital plate of frontal bone, and 6 here represents lesser wing of sphenoid. Now we will talk about the floor. The floor of the orbit is formed by 3 bones, which are orbital surface of the body of maxilla, orbital surface of zygomatic bone anterolaterally, and the orbital process of the palatine bone posteromedially. So the short form or the mnemonic again for the floor is MPZ. Here the 9 colored in orange or red represents zygomatic bone, 10 represents orbital plate of maxilla in green, and again in orange or red 11 represents orbital process of palatine bone. Now the medial wall. Medial wall is thinnest of all the boundaries, which is formed by frontal process of maxilla, lacrimal bone, orbital plate of ethmoid, and body of sphenoid. So the mnemonic for medial wall is MLES. Here 4 represents body of sphenoid, 3 represents orbital plate of ethmoid, 2 in diagram represents lacrimal bone, and 1 in diagram represents frontal process of maxilla. So here is the difference between written part and labeling. Next is lateral wall, which is strongest of all the boundaries. It is formed by orbital surface of zygomatic bone in the front and orbital surface of greater wing of sphenoid behind. And the mnemonic for this wall is SZ. Here 7 represents orbital surface of zygomatic bone and 8 represents greater wing of sphenoid. Now the features present in the 4 boundary walls of the orbit. The medial wall has lacrimal fossa as well as anterior and posterior ethmoidal foramina. The lateral wall has zygomatic foramen and Whitnall's tubercle. The floor presents 2 features, which are infraorbital groove and canal, and small rough impression in the anteromedial angle for the origin of inferior oblique muscle. The roof presents 3 features. First is fossa for lacrimal gland in the anterolateral part, trochlear notch or spine at the anteromedial angle, and optic canal at the extreme posterior part of the roof. The eye orbit has an apex which lies at the posterior end of the orbit and is formed by its sphenoid. More precisely, it is formed by the center of the bony bridge between the optic canal and superior orbital fissure, and the base of the orbit is open and quadrangular, and its boundaries form the orbital margins. Now we are going to talk about the relations of the eye orbit. Above, the eye orbit has anterior cranial fossa and frontal air sinus. Laterally, it has temporal fossa in the front and middle cranial fossa behind. Below it has maxillary air sinus and medially it has ethmoidal air sinuses. The contents of the orbit are the eyeball, which is the most important content obviously, the muscles of the eye, fascia bulbi, nerves, which I have already told in the starting, ophthalmic artery, ophthalmic veins, lacrimal gland and orbital fat. Also now we are going to study the structures passing through the various foramen or canal present in the eye orbit. First is optic canal. The structures passing through the optic canal are optic nerve with meninges and ophthalmic artery, which is represented by 1 and 2 respectively. Then structures passing through superior orbital fissure, which is a very important topic. The lateral part contains recurrent branch of ophthalmic artery, lacrimal nerve, frontal nerve represented by 5, 6 represents trochlear nerve, 7 represents superior ophthalmic vein. The middle part contains 8, 9, 10, 9, 11. 8 represents abducens nerve, 9 represents superior division of oculomotor nerve, 10 represents nasociliary nerve, and 11 represents inferior division of oculomotor nerve. And the structure passing through the medial part is inferior ophthalmic vein, represented by 12. Now the structures passing through the inferior orbital fissure are 13 and 14 respectively. 13 represents infraorbital nerves and vessels, and 14 represents zygomatic nerve. And the 15th is nasolacrimal duct, which passes through the nasolacrimal canal. Now we are going to talk about the extraocular muscles. The extraocular muscles are divided into two groups, voluntary and involuntary. There are 7 voluntary muscles in the eye orbit, out of which 6 move the eyeball and 1 moves upper eyelid. Out of these 6 muscles, there are 4 recti muscles, which are superior rectus, as you can see, inferior rectus, which you can also see, lateral rectus and medial rectus, and the 2 oblique muscles, which are superior oblique, which you can see here, and the inferior oblique. The 3 smooth or involuntary muscles are superior tarsal, which is also known as Muller's muscle, inferior tarsal and orbitalis. Now we are going to talk about the origin, insertion, nerve supply and actions of this muscle. All the recti muscles arise from the corresponding margins of the common tendinous ring of Zinn. And the insertion is all recti muscles are inserted into the sclera a little posterior to the limbus corneoscleral junction in front of the equator of the eyeball, and all these muscles are supplied by cranial nerve 3, which is oculomotor nerve, except lateral rectus, which is supplied by the abducens nerve, which is cranial nerve 6. Now the action. The superior rectus helps in elevation, adduction and intorsion. The medial rectus helps in adduction. Inferior rectus in depression, adduction and extorsion, and lateral rectus in abduction. Now we will talk about the 2 oblique muscles, which are superior oblique and inferior oblique. The superior oblique has origin from body of sphenoid superomedially to the optic canal. Insertion into sclera behind equator in posterior superior quadrant of eyeball between superior rectus and lateral rectus. It is supplied by the trochlear nerve, and it has action as depression, abduction and intorsion. Whereas inferior oblique has origin from a rough impression, which I told you earlier, lateral to the lacrimal groove in the floor of the orbit. Insertion into sclera behind equator in posterior-superior quadrant, supplied by cranial nerve 3 oculomotor, and has its action as elevation, abduction and extorsion. Next is LPS muscle, levator palpebrae superioris. It has its origin from the undersurface of lesser wing of sphenoid at the apex of the orbit, above common tendinous ring by a narrow tendon. Now insertion. The upper lamina of this muscle is inserted into the skin of upper eyelid. Intermediate lamella into upper border of the superior tarsal plate. And the lower lamella is inserted into superior fornix of conjunctiva. Now supply of this muscle is divided into two parts separately for skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. The skeletal part is supplied by upper division of oculomotor nerve, and the smooth part is supplied by postganglionic fibers from the superior cervical sympathetic ganglion. Now action of LPS. Elevation of the upper eyelid to open the eye. And also I am going to tell you about some clinical correlations associated with this topic, which are strabismus, which is squinting, and paralysis of LPS. First is squinting. Unilateral paralysis of an individual muscle due to involvement of nerves produces squinting or strabismus, deviation of eye to the opposite side, and may result in diplopia. If the muscle paralyzed is lateral rectus, the nerve involved is abducent nerve, and effect is medial squinting. And if the muscle paralyzed is medial rectus, the nerve involved is oculomotor nerve, and the effect is lateral squinting. Now the paralysis of LPS. It is due to the involvement of oculomotor nerve, leads to complete ptosis, drooping of upper eyelid, the lesion of cervical sympathetic ganglion or chain, as seen in Horner syndrome as well, leads to partial ptosis as it affects only smooth muscles part of LPS. So this is all for this video. I hope you liked this video and found it useful, and if you did, press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. Thank you. See you again later.